Hello, welcome to Geeks and Loose. This is episode 106.
All right. So before we get started, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We would also appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel so you get more updates when we post more episodes. Also, if you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, we appreciate that as well. We would also love it if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Spotify.
Also, we would appreciate it very kindly if you were to donate some cash. So Ko-Fi is open and ready to receive.
Every little bit helps.
So we appreciate anything and that you are able to give us and help us on our merry way as the season of giving.
Yeah, indeed.
So we give you content, you give us cash. Deal.
That's how this works.
Right, yeah. So we're going to do a double bill today.
Yep. Another one.
Another one, yeah. We're gonna double them out until the year is finished. So, and before we jump into it, just how you been? You right?
Yeah, I actually did. My best friend got married last week, so I had a whole bunch of wedding festivities to attend to. So it's nice to not be working, but it was very busy, but fun to do wedding stuff. So
you've had Thanksgiving and you've had a wedding.
Yeah, it's been a really busy 2 weeks, and I am very glad that everyone has left town and I am back to like my normal routine. It was very difficult to do all of that entertaining so close together, at least for someone who's like an introvert like me.
You're not an introvert.
I am totally an introvert.
I mean, you talk for like an hour on here. Like,
well, yeah, but I'm just talking to you, so it's fine.
Oh, we're not worried about the listeners.
No, because I can't see them.
All the watchers.
I mean, I can't see them either. So they can see me, but I can't see them. So it's all good.
Did you like that little meme thing I sent you, the Happy Treason Day?
Oh, yeah, I showed that to my dad, and my dad got such a kick out of that on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
yeah, what was it? Something about you ungrateful, treasonous bastards or something like that?
No, it didn't swear. It said Happy Treason Day, ungrateful colonials. Colonials. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what Mark sent me on Thanksgiving since, you know, he's still bitter about us leaving them. So we're treasonous colonials.
You could have been the United States of Britain.
We're good.
Oh, that's got a much better ring to it.
I disagree.
United States of Britain.
Disagree.
Oh, yeah. I think you guys should rethink that whole Thanksgiving thing.
The United States of England.
Yeah. Well, no, Britain.
No. Nah.
Well, Great States of America, something like that. Anyway, so obviously I generally tease Jasmine most Thanksgivings. I send her something similar every year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much.
I also am nice and say Happy Thanksgiving too, but I do send her
after you get the jab in, then you're like, oh, okay, Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually rang you when you were at your dad's, I think.
Yeah, I think you did. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I did. I'm pretty sure I called you and you were there. So I got confused. I was like, is it Thanksgiving? You're like, yeah. I was like, okay, good. I was like, just checking in case I got the day wrong. So, anyway, I've had no weddings or no Thanksgivings, but
you have had World Cup?
We are doing slightly better than yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, to be expected.
I mean, you guys are probably like kicking that ball around thinking like, why are we not holding it in our hands?
Well, it's the men that have the problem. The women do really, really well when it comes to World Cup. So I don't know.
The women do really well over here. So
yeah.
The women won the Euros last year. The men have struggled with that for quite some time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, we are on our way to play France on Saturday. So
yeah. Gotta say I'm rooting for France on that one.
Thanks.
If you're just listening, I wish you could see Mark's face.
I'd just like to let you know I'm not rooting for France.
I don't think you're allowed to.
Whilst I hope they lose, I hope they lose with dignity. And I hope we win 6-0.
Wow. Okay.
No, we won't. It'll be tight, I reckon. Could be like 3-2 or something.
Yeah.
That's probably more likely.
Well, I think the people that I'm going to get behind, I'm going to get behind Japan and South Korea.
Why don't you just get behind England? I mean,
no, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Well, I mean,
England and Germany are the two teams I won't root for when it comes to World Cup stuff. Sorry.
Why? Because we're so good.
No, because they're just so annoying.
Thanks.
Plus, I like to pull for the underdogs. So I'm pulling for Japan and Korea.
Japan's not really an underdog. Like they are.
I mean, nobody thought that they were going to beat Spain.
I thought they'd do pretty well. So, but anyway, I was sad for Australia. I was disappointed that they got kicked out.
I wasn't, because I'm a Messi fan, so I want to see Messi do well.
Yeah, so did my daughter, my 8-year-old. She was like rooting on Messi.
Yeah.
I find it crazy that my kids are way more into football than I am. So,
I mean, you got to get with the program, man.
I know. They love it. They love it. Like,
listen, when I come to London eventually at some point in my lifetime, like
next year,
we're gonna ignore you completely, and I'm gonna take your girls to a Chelsea game.
But we went to a Chelsea game last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
Chelsea women's team.
No, I'm gonna go to the men's team. I really want to. I wish I had gotten over there while my boy Didier was still playing for Chelsea.
Why don't you come next year? Like that'd be brilliant. We met this year in New York, so we'll see you again in London next
in a year. So we're just gonna make this a yearly tradition now. That it took us 10 years to meet in the first place, and now we're gonna meet up every year.
Yeah, well, why not? Like 2023, you should definitely come to London.
Like, okay, I'm gonna see what I can do.
So bring Fable and her with you. Like,
I'll bring the whole Bad Batch. We'll just charter a flight. It'll be good.
Yeah, I can't see any of them coming, but I could see you coming. You probably would want to come in the summer months, but if you want to see Chelsea play, probably. I can't remember when it finishes now.
Well, I am going to be in Europe in May, so we'll see. We'll see what I can.
How long for?
2 weeks.
All right. What part of Europe? I don't know this.
I'm doing Italy, Croatia, and Greece.
Oh, and why not England?
Because it started as a work trip. Like I won a trip to Italy, and so we just kind of are tacking on some other things to Italy.
Tack England on.
Huh?
You may as well tack England on.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try. You may
as well. Like all flying early. Like, I'll pick you up from the airport. Although I don't live near London though, so I don't know if you'd want to stay here or not. But
we'll see.
So anyway, other than that, I've been pretty much watching Christmas type content. I decided to try and be a bit more Christmassy this year.
Yeah, I need to decorate. I went and bought Christmas. Well, like I went with my mom to buy a Christmas tree for like my parents' house, but I have not pulled out any of my decorations yet.
Well, you better hurry up. It's 6th of December.
Yeah, I know. My Christmas tree, I have a fake one and it's black. And so I was like, I guess I'll just pull out my black tree this year.
We've got 2 trees. Like one is a fake one now. Like, and then they got this one here behind me, which you guys can't see.
Yeah, the one you guys cut down. Those were cute pictures.
Yeah, so we cut down a real tree. We didn't cut it down, but we pointed one.
You pointed at it, and someone else cut it down.
Yeah. Well, you're not allowed to cut your own tree down. Anyway, so yeah, what was it? What have I watched? Oh, I watched Last Christmas with Emilia Clarke, which was quite a nice film on Netflix, and it's literally completely predictable. All of it.
All of those Christmas movies are.
But I think every Christmas movie is pretty much predictable. I think a lot of these sort of rom-com ones that are Christmas films are literally rom-coms just set in December.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, they're set with like just Christmas decorations. Like it's the same stuff.
Before I start recording, I'm halfway through Love Hard with Nina.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
So I'm only halfway through it, so I can't comment right now. I ran out of time before we started recording. But so
Johnny O
far,
Yang is so funny. Like he's the funniest part of what the hell's that show called? It was one of the first episodes we ever did. Space Force. He's so funny in
oh
Space Force.
yeah, that was the first episode.
Yeah.
That was the first episode we did. Yeah,
Wow.
no, I'm
Talk
pretty
about
sure
taking
that
it
was.
way, way back.
I'm pretty sure that was the first episode. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to check, but I'm pretty sure that was the first episode.
Yeah, because we
Um,
did Space Force and Joker. We did a Joker book. Pretty sure. I can't remember.
yeah, it was a comic or something, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I was sharing like on the Instagram Christmas movies. I'm up to day 5 so far. So number 1 had to be Die Hard, which
Yes.
strangely enough, Nina's character in Love Hard loves Die Hard.
Yes.
Which I was pretty pleased about. So.
You know, one of our podcasting buddies, the Brothers in Armchairs, they have this ornament that they put on their Christmas tree, and it is literally the ornament of Bruce Willis in the air ducts, like from Die Hard, and it lights up and everything, like the little cigarette lighter. I was like, oh my god, that is so cool.
No, do you know what? I went onto Instagram, and you know when something Instagram just jumps?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I saw it for like a split second before it jumped. And I was like, oh, what was that? Like,
yeah.
I have to now. Thanks. I'm glad you saw that. So for day 1, I posted Die Hard, and I was like, I had to follow it up with Lethal Weapon, which is also set at Christmas.
Very true.
Is a Christmas movie, so
it counts.
If Die Hard's a Christmas movie, Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie.
Count it.
And then I watched. So I asked you for a list of films so I could make sure I was not just choosing my own Christmas movies. So Klaus, which I watched for the first time a couple of days ago. So my wife said she's seen it like 20 times, and I was like, oh, let's put it on. She's like, I've told you about this film for ages. Like,
it's so good. Everybody should check that out. If you haven't seen it, it's a Netflix original, I think, and it came out 2 or 3 years ago. It's so good. The animation is so cool.
Do you know what I love about it? It's like it's an origin film about Santa Claus, but kind of not done like you think it's going to be an origin film. Like it's kind of like so slowly put together.
Yeah.
And Santa Claus isn't really the main character.
Right.
So but I love the slight kind of the tweaks like that they put in, because obviously the postman is the main character.
Yeah.
And how he cleverly over the film comes up with ideas about his character, about Santa Claus' character for the children, and it creates this air of mystery. But he does it with his own selfish motivations.
Right.
But actually, it creates this sort of mysterious sort of character.
Right.
Over this course of time, it doesn't just set up on day 1 and say, right, the sleigh can fly, Santa Claus knows everything. I just love how he just slightly drops it in.
Yeah,
like,
he's kind of a prick at the beginning of the film, and then by the end of it, he's like this really cool character.
Well, I mean, obviously, again, that was obvious it's going to happen, but because these films are, like you say, quite obvious where they're headed.
Yep.
But it was done so nicely, and at the end, like the mysterious element, like how, I don't want to say too much here, but like how it all seemed quite grounded until the end. And I thought, because I thought to myself, like, oh, what's going to happen now? Like when in the last few minutes, like where we were going with it. And then I was like, oh, okay. Like now we are fully in the mythology of Santa Claus now. So I really enjoyed it. I thought the art was great, but the story and the mythology was really cool, and it's so subtly done.
Yeah,
so,
it is. To me, it's super underrated, but it's a really, really good film.
And then like I say, then I followed it up with Last Christmas, and then I can't help but watch this every year, even though when it first came out I was 5. So it is a TV movie. It was never an actual proper movie. It's The Christmas Toy by Jim Henderson.
Does it have to be a proper movie? The Charlie Brown movie is not a proper movie. It was always a TV special.
I don't know if I've seen that one or not. I probably have seen it. I know I probably have seen it like as a kid, but I just don't remember it. So I'll try and watch that. I'll try and watch that in December as well. I've decided basically I'm going to watch something Christmassy every day. Even if I don't finish it, like I say, I started Love Hard earlier. I'll finish it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Christmas toy with Rugby the Tiger.
Never heard of it.
But basically, it's Toy Story.
Oh, okay.
It's basically Toy Story before Toy Story was created.
Yeah.
It's like less than an hour long. It's like a long episode or something.
Yeah.
And basically, all these toys, they come alive whenever the humans aren't around.
Hmm.
And Rugby the Tiger is basically a selfish prick who thinks that Christmas is all about him because
Okay.
because the previous Christmas is all about him. So he thinks that every Christmas should be about him. And he can't fathom the idea that this Christmas the kids will get new toys. So they start an adventure to go to the living room from upstairs. And yeah, no, it's quite it's one of those sort of, I guess, heartfelt children's films. And obviously the the toys go on an adventure of throughout the house, but an adventure in terms of their own character development, coming into their own. Where Rugby, like the Postman, Rugby evolves throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So no, I love that film. Like, so Kermit the Frog introduces the movie.
Okay.
I actually had forgotten that as a kid, but it's only so I hadn't seen this film hadn't re-seen this film until like 10, 15 years ago, and I hadn't seen it like since I was a kid until like 15 years ago, and I've completely forgotten that Kermit was in it. So before we started, actually, I was reading about it, and actually, when they were re-releasing it, there was some licensing issues with Disney, and they had to cut the Kermit bit out. But then they since I think they put it back on Amazon now, and the Kermit bit is back on. So, but yeah, if you fancy watching it, like, here we go. It's obviously for children, but like, it is a nice Christmas film though. So,
Yeah.
And then the other thing I watched the other day, and this is a Christmas TV special of a show that I love. I don't know if you ever watched it, and I watch this pretty much every year now. You couldn't watch it without watching the first two seasons, though. So even though it's a TV special, you'd have to watch seasons 1 and 2 of Timeless. Do you remember Timeless?
I have heard of Timeless. Yeah.
So Timeless got cancelled after 2 seasons, but the fans really rallied around it because it got cancelled on the cliffhanger, and they brought it back at Christmas for a 2-hour Christmas special.
Okay.
And it was basically they just made it set at Christmas.
Yeah.
So when season 2 ends, because it's a time travel show, when season 2 ends, one of the main cast has been killed off. All of a sudden, the time machine from the future comes, and 2 of the main characters walk out of the time machine, like they'd almost come out of some sort of war, and the Christmas special picks up where that left off, and they're basically telling them what they've got to do to save the other guy, and they're like, "Look, we'll leave you with our time machine. We'll take yours." And as they're going to get into theirs, they turn around, and they're like, "Merry Christmas, by the way." And I was like, if they hadn't have been cancelled, they never would have said that. But they just threw in some little Christmas tweaks throughout the
course.
thing, and I remember the show ends with like the 2 of the main characters underneath some mistletoe. So I thought it was a nice thing to do for the fans, bringing it back.
Yeah.
As a Christmas special. So
have you watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special?
I have. Yeah. Have you?
No, I have not yet.
It's hilarious.
Is it? That might be my weekend festivities.
It's really funny. Like, honestly, Kevin Bacon, what a sport to play himself. Like, oh, there's a scene in it where he does voices of Batman. Like, there's a Batman reference basically, which I think is great considering where James Gunn is now. Like,
that is too funny.
So, do you know what? I would love to meet Kevin Bacon. So, I hope he's not a prick. I hope he's a nice guy.
I have not heard any like bad stories about him. So
yeah, no, it's just like you get certain celebrities, you think, I bet they're such nice people.
Yeah,
like he seems like he's a nice guy. So I would be really disappointed if he wasn't. So, like, I'd be so let down. Anyway, but that's kind of like all I've been doing really, sport and Christmas stuff. So I've kind of not really watched much TV. So.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't had time. So this is like last night was the first day where I didn't have to actually see anyone.
Yeah.
So I just am I don't have I don't know. I there are some Christmas things I need to watch, but I haven't had the chance yet. But plenty of time now, so it's all good.
Well, what's your Christmas toy? From 1986, and the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm
Christmas
probably gonna
special.
check out Guardians of the Galaxy pretty
One
soon.
thing I would say is it's quite funny with Groot how they clearly dropped the CGI and just put man in a costume. So
Did they really?
that's what it looked like to me. Yeah. So well, they clearly just didn't want to spend any money on him. Like, he's not really in it. Groot's not really in it. So I think the passing moments of Groot clearly are just a man in a tree costume.
Was that intentional, I wonder?
Well, I imagine that they probably didn't care because like it's a TV special, not an actual movie. So
Oh, maybe. So what, is it only like an hour long?
50 minutes or something.
Oh, okay.
It's really quick, honestly. Like I'd watch it again because I was a bit like, oh, it's over. So
Yeah. Okay.
you kind of almost don't get distracted, like because
It's too short.
It's too short. Yeah, it's probably not even 50 minutes. It's probably like 45 minutes in titles. So,
Okay.
but yeah, give it a go. So anyway, is there anything you want to add, or should we jump into it?
Nope, that was our Christmas catch up.
Okay. So Men in Black 1997 came out. Based on Men in Black by Lowell Cunningham. From what I remember, actually, about Men in Black, it was owned by Malibu Comics, and I haven't looked this up, but I remember it was owned by Malibu Comics, and Marvel actually bought Malibu Comics. So
yeah, because at the beginning of the film, which I don't remember when I first watched this as a kid, but like the beginning of the film, it says based on the Men in Black from Marvel Comics.
Yeah, so I think I would be pretty sure that they bought Malibu just so they could get this. Anyways,
smart move. This made a lot of money.
and they didn't do much with Malibu, so they had bought Malibu, and I think they made comics with Malibu for like another year and a half. And I read some of the Malibu comics at the time, like the All New Exiles and Ultra Force and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember this coming out around that time. So anyway, it's written by Ed Solomon, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, and it starred a really, really good cast.
Yeah.
So Tommy Lee Jones, who is always Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith, who actually is always Will Smith, Linda Florentino, I think, and do you know what? I did not realize this was him until we were doing this. Vincent D'Onofrio and Rip Tom, so as Zed. This came out on the 2nd of July, 1997, which is actually
the summer blockbuster.
It was the year I left school.
Left high school?
Yeah, high school, yeah.
Okay.
16 I was, so senior school we call it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say 16 though. That's not old enough.
No, I went to college afterwards, but I left senior school. Anyway, so running time 98 minutes, budget was $90 million US, and it made shy of $600 million US.
Yes, it made a crap ton of money.
So,
especially for 97, that was pretty huge.
So, summary: the MIB is a secret organization that monitors and polices the aliens. These aliens and uses neuralizers to erase the memories of anyone who witnesses alien activities. James, who is Will Smith, agrees to join, taking a new identity as Agent J, and his civilian identity is erased from government records. One thing I always thought before we move on to that is government records, but what do they do? Find every single person that he's ever known and neuralize them? Because I just can't see that.
But they probably only recruit people that have a very small circle anyway. I can't imagine that they're going to recruit a guy that's got 7 siblings.
Yeah, no, I don't know. They don't go into it. They don't say
I mean, they just implied that he was kind of a loner already.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe that was it. So
yeah.
Anyway, all the way back to 1997, I went and saw this at the cinema, and this is like Will Smith's peak fame. He stuck his name on anything, it would do well. Other than Wild Wild West, literally, you stuck his name on something, and it was like a guaranteed box office smash anyway.
Pretty much.
And like Tommy Lee Jones is a big name, so just.
But this was like one of the first times we got to see Tommy Lee Jones do something like funny.
He's still himself, but like he has the humor part.
Yeah.
So, anyway, did you think this movie was cool?
Of course I did. Like, of course I did. And Will Smith had a song on the soundtrack. He had the main song for the. Come on, it was what every kid wanted.
I love that track even now.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and the video, like that was back in the day when music videos were so cool, and they had the aliens like as backup singers in the music video. Come on, this whole thing was such a production. It was so great.
Do you remember? He did a film. I just want to check actually when it came out. It was, I think it's called Empire State.
Enemy of the State.
No, yeah, Enemy of the State. Yeah.
My God, Enemy of the State is so good. Tony. Tony Scott used to be my favorite director before he died. Like, I love pretty much all of Tony Scott's films.
So basically, I remember when Enemy of the State came out, they asked him a question. They said, because they said, "Are you going to make a track for this film?" Because they were referring to obviously Men in Black and Wild Wild West. How basically he was kind of like. I was just thinking of something that you won't get. Like there's a British comedy over here where they make jokes about an English actor who back in like the 80s used to be the star of a TV show. He'd write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. It was all very cheesy 80s, and kind of like Will Smith was basically your version of that. Like he would be the star, he'd be the producer.
It's like a one-man show.
Yeah, like, you know. But anyway, I remember them asking him a question when he did Enemy of the State, like, would you make a song for this? And he did say something along the lines of, I don't even need to look it up. I always remember him saying that there are some movies you make songs and music videos for, and there are films like, you know, Enemy of the State, where these are a film where you don't make songs or music videos for. And he's right, like Enemy of the State was definitely not one he should have ever.
Yeah. Enemy of the State is so good. It is so good. That movie to me still holds up today.
Oh, like I love Enemy of the State. Like Enemy of the State is probably like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I used to like rewatch Men in Black a lot, but Enemy of the State I used to rewatch a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I think if you think I just got up his IMDb. His more current things I think are good. He was good in Aladdin. Have you seen Aladdin?
Yes.
He was good in that. I think he was good in Bright. Despite the fact that Suicide Squad was terrible, he was good in that too.
Yeah.
But he's had quite a lot of terrible films. After Earth was awful.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I haven't watched a lot of his other stuff since then. I haven't seen Collateral Beauty and Focus, and they just didn't look like films I would be that bothered about. But one day maybe.
Wasn't he in 21 Grams too? That one was, he was good in that one, but that was a hard watch.
21 No, he was in 7 Pounds.
7 Pounds, okay.
Yeah, 7. No, that was a really good film. That actually was an amazing film. So I remember wanting to watch that for ages, and like that's actually really quite, you know, that was again when Will Smith was like at his height. So
yeah, and I really a lot of people didn't, but I really liked I Am Legend.
Oh, I loved I Am Legend. It was amazing. So yeah. That's what I mean. So I Am Legend was 2007. So from 1997, I'd say from 1997. Well, obviously Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but all the way up to kind of, I would say, probably 7 Pounds is kind of when it died off for him. So, like,
so maybe till about 2010.
7 Pounds was 2008, and now I haven't seen Men in Black 3, so I can't make a comment yet.
Well, I think you're gonna have to watch it by next week.
Well, I'm going to obviously. That was 2012, but I saw After Earth. I remember being really excited for After Earth, and I was like, oh my God.
I just don't know why they had to give him an accent. Like, he's not very good with accents. Like, I think if he didn't have the accent in that film, it could have been a little bit better. It still was not great, but like it could have been better.
You know, Bad Boys 1 and 2, brilliant. Like, iRobot was great.
Oh my God, I love iRobot.
Shark Tale, I remember him being the voice of Oscar. Like,
yeah, he did a song for that one.
Okay, what's your favorite Will Smith song?
Ooh, favorite Will Smith song? I don't know. It's either going to be Welcome to Miami or Getting Jiggy with It.
So many good ones, like Just Cruising, Men in Black, Getting Jiggy with It, like even Wild Wild West.
Yeah, so Wild Wild West and Men in Black are directed by the same guy, Barry Sonnenfeld. I did love the Wild Wild West soundtrack, but the film itself was kind of.
Oh, I've just seen it now. I completely forgot. Independence Day.
Oh yeah, God,
Such
Independence Day. Yeah,
it was a good movie other than one scene.
Which
you know
scene?
what scene that is. You know what scene that is.
Oh, you hate the speech.
Yeah, the speech. Awful scene.
Today we celebrate our Independence Day.
Oh,
so great.
Honestly, such a bag of cheese. Like, if ever there was a terrible scene.
Oh, come on. You can't have a film where the United States is fighting aliens without the president giving some kind of inspirational gung-ho, like Go America speech.
I remember like being in a comic shop when that came out, like, and everyone discussing how much they hated that scene. And someone was like, look, like literally people were just turning around, joining in and saying, brilliant film, but that scene. Awful.
I think that's a British thing. Maybe you British folks don't really like it when we get real American.
But then some guy turned around and said, look, and like literally this English guy turned around and said, look, like he actually said what you said, like it's an American film. Americans love this stuff. They lap it up.
Yes, they do. They do.
So we were like,
why do you think stuff like Top Gun still does really well? Why do you think Michael Bay makes so much money? Like anytime you put the American military in the movies, like Americans eat that up. They love it.
Oh no, I'm all for being like love your country and support your country, but it was just such cheesy speech, cheesy. So
it was perfect. It totally fit the theme for Independence Day.
So do you know what I haven't seen is with Will Smith is Made in America.
I don't know that one. Have you seen Hitch?
I don't think I've seen Hitch either.
Oh my God, you gotta watch. Hitch is so good. Hitch is really, really good.
I saw all of Fresh Prince. I know that. Yeah, I've not seen Hitch. I've seen Ali. I thought I saw Ali at the cinema.
Hitch is good. Him and Kevin James are really good together. They're really funny.
I saw I Am Legend at the cinema. That scared the crap out of me. But yeah, anyway, to come back to this movie, which is actually why we're here. This is like the top of Will Smith's game. This was gonna sell. Like, you stuck it. This is back when certain celebrities would sell content before we had streaming platforms and cinemas were the only go-to for new content. And this is back when you had to wait sometimes 6 to 8 months before it came out on DVD or any kind, so the gap between the cinema and any kind of physical media release was so huge.
Yeah,
there was bigger numbers at the cinema. Yeah, and I remember going to see the cinema to see this. Actually, I went with all my family. I still remember going to see it in a cinema in Bognor Regis, which you don't know, but it's near the beach. And like we went, loads of us, like loads of my mum and dad's friends and my friends. So
we loaded up 2 carloads of kids and all went because I think I was still in middle school when this came out. So it was like the whole neighborhood, my whole neighborhood gang of kids all went, and it was so much fun.
It's crazy how like certain things like that you remember, like the certain films you probably just think I remember seeing it, but I can't remember where I was. But this film, it was a big thing back then.
Like when the first film came out, it was unlike anything we had seen at the time. Like at that point in 1997, like this felt like it was a far more futuristic film. Like now, a lot of the CGI does not hold up very well, but back then, like this film was beyond its time, and it was so cool. Everything about this film when it first came out was so cool.
So we've touched on like how wonderful Will Smith was back in that peak time. Obviously, how like we thought this was a cool film, and obviously a lot of his content was good, but just I guess what are your summary or your thoughts on the actual the plot of the movie itself?
So watching it again, a lot of it is sort of that forced humor that I don't really enjoy anymore. So a lot of the jokes don't quite land now like they did back then. But I really like, as far as plot and that kind of thing, like, I mean, it's a film about aliens that live among us that have like their own bureaucratic agency that they report to. So like your suspension of belief is already out the window anyway. So everything was like plot wise and what was happening and the characters, the aliens, the villain, like all of that stuff was very much in line with expectations for the film. So I don't have a problem with any of that even now, but it's just sort of the writing has not aged well, and the dialogue, the CGI has not aged well. So watching it again, it was like, yeah, I mean, this was super, super cool when I was a teenager, but like, it's not quite as cool anymore just because we've come so far nowadays. It's still fun to go back and rewatch it, but definitely not as exciting this time around as it was back then.
Yeah, I back then, I think kind of now versus then, when this first came out, I must have rewatched this loads. Like, I loved going to the cinema to see it, and was really excited by it. And when it came out on DVD, it would be a film I'd constantly go back to. And back then the humor I really loved. Nothing wrong with the humor now. But like you say, I think our humor in films, we kind of expect a bit more. And I think this humor is very much in line with, I'd say, like Avengers, like Disney. Well, I mean, this is a Marvel movie essentially. That kind of humor, the one-liners, the Joss Whedon style one-liners.
Yeah, it feels very much like Joss Whedon, and I think that like, but in the sense of we're pushing these jokes every chance we get versus letting them just kind of like naturally pop up.
Yeah. So, but I love the idea that actually is a clandestine organization, but how like they're so far advanced. And, they're crazily advanced. Like the tiny little guns, that same size of a matchbox, can like blow a hole in a car, and how they've got these devices that are erasure memory and that kind of thing. Like they've got all this crazy technology, and what I love is just how they get this New York copper who is trying to join this agency, and how he's kind of like the new blood into this sort of old organization. And they're changing the mold because everybody else that's come in is like some sort of like Navy SEAL or like
we're looking for the best of the best of the best.
FBI or whatever, and then they're just bringing in this New York like detective guy or whatever.
Well, he chased down a cephalopod on foot, so
exactly. But they're kind of like shaking up the organization a little bit. They're bringing in this new guy, and I love the fact that although Tommy Lee Jones does have humor in this film, he kind of represents the old ways. Will Smith is like the new blood and all this kind of thing. So and then obviously I love that it's kind of like they do this obviously in the first. I haven't seen number 3 yet, but it's kind of like the movie each has like a case that they kind of have to work. And I feel like once that case is resolved, probably a day or two later they'll be on another case, and there'll be another case, because Tommy Lee Jones does make a reference about this is kind of like a normal thing that they do, save the universe. So the Men in Black are just saving the universe basically. So I don't know, like I love the style of it, and it's very 90s obviously, and I haven't seen the 4th one, so I kind of in a way like want to see how this compares to later movies. So I do think 1 and 2 are very close in terms of the styling, the dialogue, the world building. I absolutely love just even things like is it Jeeves, the guy who sells the guns under the counter. Just like, but what I love about that whole thing is Will Smith knows him from being a detective.
Yeah.
like as a guy who sort of probably sells, I don't know, counterfeit goods or whatever.
Yeah. Stolen
But
stuff.
yeah, and then Kay knows him for selling like
Yeah.
alien
An
technology.
international alien arms
Yeah.
dealer. Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy to think that these aliens are living these dual lives that me and you, if we saw them, would just think they're, I don't know, a basketball player or a guy who runs a convenience store. But then people like Kay know them because they're actually like aliens and
Yes.
you know, all this crazy stuff, and how they make a lot of references throughout both films.
Yeah.
That people we know that even famous, like
like Elvis. It's like, Elvis is dead, right? No, he is not. He just went home.
Yeah, I mean that was an unnecessary one-liner, which it was probably really funny back then, but I did not laugh this time around. So I was like, I remembered it though, but it's like, this isn't anywhere near as funny as it was back then. But yeah, I think people probably laughed their asses off back when it just came out.
Yeah.
No, he's not good. He just went like it's a good line. It just certain humor just didn't age that well. But anyway, do you have any favorite characters in the film?
Favorite character. I really liked the bug. Like I thought,
Edgar.
yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio was so good. And like, so me and my best friend, like we loved
hanging loose.
yeah, oh my god, we used to do that all the time. Like the way that his wife talks, we always thought her accent was so funny. He's like, Edgar, your skin is hanging off your bones, Edgar. And it's just oh my god, we quoted that all the time.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Like I love the way she talks. It's a shame she wasn't in more of the movie.
Yeah.
Like the way she talks, very like one syllable.
Yeah.
Like one tone. That's a skill in an acting. Like as an actor, I think to be able to like pull that off. I can't imagine anybody ever speaks in like one tone.
Well, I mean, depending on how rural you choose to go. I mean, I'm sure you find people like that, but like in the city, not so much. But yeah, I did. I love the bug. I love the way that D'Onofrio like moves his body once he gets taken over by the bug. Like he just is perpetually uncomfortable, and it just is like he is acting all the way to his fingertips. Like he's just putting so much effort and energy into the part. And it really pays off because like, I don't know, I just like, he's the best character to me in the film. Even after he loses his skin at the very end and it's just like a gigantic cockroach, which so like I'm not terrified, but like I do not like roaches at all. Like I can't stand roaches. Spiders and worms, like I'm fine with that, but like roaches I can't deal with. So like I spent most of this movie, anytime any of the bug scenes happen, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. Like I'd close my eyes or I'd turn my head. Like I hate the creepy qualities like that.
But I think Vincent D'Onofrio was really good in it. I just loved like the scene where he goes into is it the morgue and the guys like get the
fly swatter.
The bug, the fly swatter, and like he's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Like, and you're like, this guy's gonna like lose his shit. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like favorite character. I really want to say like Jeeves. Like
yeah. I love Tony Shalhoub.
He's just so funny. Like and how but that scene as well is just so good. Because it's a bit like what I said a minute ago about the two worlds thing. Like when Kay blows his head off and like Jay instantly turns his gun on Kay. He's like weapon down, blah blah blah, whatever. And then suddenly you see his head growing back.
Yeah.
Like this tiny little like acorn is suddenly like, and then suddenly he's like, bobbling around. And it's like, and then on the way out, they're both like, Kay's like, I'll be back, whatever. And Kay's like, or Will Smith's character's like, yeah, I'll be back too, dear, for all that. Counterfeit kid. But he's honestly so good as that. Like in that scene, he's just absolutely hilarious. Like, he's in what's it called? That TV show that I love.
Monk.
No, The Marvelous Mrs. Mabel.
Oh, I don't watch that.
Oh, like that's not normally like the kind of show like I would watch, but he's absolutely hilarious in that too. So anyway, he's like one of my favorites in this.
Yeah.
I
do like Jeeves.
I guess if I was to like, I feel like we should choose. Would you choose Kay or would you choose Jay?
Oh, in this first film,
Yeah,
I would definitely choose K.
he's really good at this,
Yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones. So, I
yeah.
mean, it's hard to choose. I'll choose J. I'll be Team J.
Okay, okay. I also like the beginning of the film too, the way that it opens and he's just kind of casually speaking Spanish to all of these illegal immigrants and then picks this one guy and starts speaking Spanish. And obviously this guy cannot understand a word of Spanish. And just the way that Tommy Lee Jones is so giggly.
So straight with it.
Yeah. Oh man. I love it.
Have you seen U.S. Marshals?
Of course. I mean, The
Do you,
Fugitive is better, but I've seen U.S. Marshals. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, I love US Marshals. I love The Fugitive too, but I actually will sometimes just put US Marshals on, like on its own. Like I wouldn't necessarily watch Fugitive, but I've actually seen US Marshals more than The Fugitive.
Oh no. I used to be obsessed with The Fugitive when I was a kid.
So the opening scene um, of Tommy Lee Jones's character, where he's dressed as the chicken,
Yeah.
like honestly, so good. Like that came out. That came out around I think 1998 or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that came out a year after this. I haven't looked it up, but from memory, I think it's 1998. That scene where Tommy Lee Jones does a whole raid dressed as a chicken, and how like it's just so straight throughout like that scene. But I think that's where like Tommy Lee Jones is he's embracing comedy,
Yeah.
even in serious films like U.S. Marshals. And I think Tommy Lee Jones handles comedy so well
hmm
for someone because Tommy Lee Jones, I think, is like Morgan Freeman, is like Will Smith. They just play the same roles
Yeah.
in whatever they
Yeah.
do. And unlike Vincent D'Onofrio, who is very much you can see
Yeah. He's definitely a character actor.
he's very versatile. Like
Yeah.
you compare him to obviously Daredevil versus this, you
Yeah.
know. And I've seen other things where I've been shocked it was him as well. Like he
hmm
can change his appearance really well. Where I do think Tommy Jones, Will Smith, Morgan Freeman, they're all those kind of just the
Yeah.
same characters. Well, I think
But
it's
you
just
hire them to
themselves.
be themselves. Like you hire Samuel L. Jackson to be Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's no way you're going to write a part for Samuel L. Jackson and expect him to do anything other than his normal self.
So, yeah. Oh, Samuel Jackson. But yeah, anyway, so I think for me, so just talk about the actual structure of the film. I think it's structured really well in terms of this is a great origin film.
Yeah.
They do really well that they introduce you to Kay first of
Yeah.
all, and the fact that it's a part they have a sort of partnership, and he kind of his partner decides to leave, and then
Yeah.
he's now looking for a new partner. And I love how they interlace those scenes with introducing Jay, obviously meeting an alien, and then we also get the introduction of the villain of the movie, which is Edgar, the
Mhm.
sort of the insect man. And I love the fact that actually when one scene finishes, we get another one and chop and change, etc. And we haven't spoke about Laurel, who works in the morgue,
Mhm.
and so she has small roles as well. And it was quite obvious that we were going to end it with a Jay Laurel
Mhm.
sort of buddy cop thing at the end, and how they were going to take because obviously Kate retires in this film, so
Yeah.
like it was his last mission. So I'm assuming that the people that made this film thought that this was going to be a one and done. So
Yeah.
that they was not going to make the. They probably thought it makes something because you're not going to make it and think, oh, this is going to lose money or not do very well. But they probably didn't think it was going to make the money it made. And they're like,
Yeah, and
oh,
then back in the 90s, like that was a lot. This movie made $590 million on a $90 million budget, which means it made $500,000 in profit.
so I would imagine Will Smith probably didn't get paid that much. I imagine Tommy Lee Jones would still pay more. So
I don't know. I don't know.
maybe the same then.
Yeah, because they both have top billing. So I would
Yeah.
assume that they're both the same. I mean, that's my guess.
Interesting to know. Let us know in the comments. So if anybody knows the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I personally wouldn't change anything about this movie. I don't think there's anything particularly worth cutting or anything. I think they did pretty well with the introduction. I think the speed and the pace of it was done really well. And whilst yeah, like I said, the humor was very 90s.
Yeah.
It, it's
That's
not
probably
ancient.
the only thing I would have changed, like especially the joke in the morgue where she's trying to get him to understand that Edgar is like
Oh,
under the
that,
table.
yeah.
And he's all like, yeah, we can do this, but I got to be the one in charge. I got to drive, yada, yada. I would change that part.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's sorry, I forgot about that scene. Yeah,
yeah.
that actually, sorry, that's completely forgot. I wish I'd written it down. That's the one scene I felt like was very uncomfortable now.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
That
it
is
was very
definitely what
creepy.
did not age well, for
Yeah,
sure.
that scene where Edgar was underneath the table thing, grabbing her leg, like holding her
Yeah.
hostage. And she was like, I really want to show you what's down here. And he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, don't worry. He's like, slow down, we'll get
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
And he's like completely like sexist on the brain. She's
Yeah.
like, in the end, look, what are you not getting
Yeah.
about what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that whole scene was, that was very, very not now. So
Yeah.
they should go back and redo that scene. But like, actually, no, to be honest, they shouldn't redo that scene because I think we've learned that those things are not appropriate. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of films where those kind of scenes or worse are in movies. And actually, I think it's good to remind ourselves
Of how far we've come.
That's not
Or
really
not.
how you talk to somebody when they're trying to tell you to look underneath a counter.
Yeah. Yeah.
If she's trying to tell you to look under a counter, it's not to do something sexual. It's
Yeah.
to look under the bloody counter.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine ever going into a workplace and somebody saying to me, "Can you look under the counter?" Oh, okay, we're going to have sex.
Yeah.
I love how you made that jump.
That's not a natural progression.
There's no foreplay, there's no dating. Literally, I met you about 10 minutes ago. So, you know what? The more you think about that scene, actually, how did they even think that was appropriate? Like,
yeah. So like a lot, I like that. That's the one thing I really like. And again, this is going back and watching this film now as I'm older. And it's just like the way that they wrote her entire character was just kind of like, you're just like the sexy other lady. Like that's your role. So it gets worse in the second film though. So
I thought she was funny. Like her lines were funny, I thought.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that she was curious about, like, she didn't trust Kay,
Yeah.
but thought Jay was like on her side, but actually they were together. Like, so anyway, rating out of
5. Back then, middle school me gives this a 5. But today Jasmine gives this 3.
I feel like I probably would have given this. I would have given this a 5 back then. I absolutely love this movie, but now, I'm probably on board with that 3 out of 5 as well. So I would have given this 5 back then.
Yeah, 100%. For sure.
So Men in Black 2 came out a little bit later, 2002. So I'd left college. Actually, I was probably in my first or second year of full-time employment at that point. So
I was starting college.
I do not remember where I saw this film. I can't remember. I can't remember if I saw it at the cinema or when it got released. So anyway, it was based on the comic again, as we've said, written by Robert Gordon and Barry Fanoreau. I don't know. Anyway, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Pretty much everybody's back. So Tommy Lee Jones is back. Will Smith is back. We've got some new people: Lara Flynn Boyle, Johnny Knoxville, Rosario Dawson, who is brilliant at everything. Our guy Jeeves is back. Tony Shalhoub, I don't know. And Rip Thorne is back, who plays Zed, who has one of the weirdest scenes of all time in this movie. So it's so stupid, like, honestly. I think they really tried to push comedy in this film. So
that was the biggest thing I noticed about this one.
So released on the 3rd of July 2002 and ran for 88 minutes.
Shorter than the first one.
Slightly more money was spent, 140 million, made less money than the last one with 441.8 million US dollars.
But 440 million is still nothing to sneeze at.
Well, that's hence why they got a third one. So.
And a fourth.
A third one in with the cars. So.
Yeah.
So July 2002, Agent J has become a top agent and has developed a habit of neuralizing partners as he feels emotionally unfit to cope with the work. When he is called to investigate the murder of an alien Ben at his pizzeria, waitress Laura tells him that the murderers are
Serlina,
a shape-shifting worm-like.
Hylothian.
Yeah, there you go. Who has taken the form of Victoria's secret lingerie model and her two-headed serpents, Scrad and Charlie. Laura says that they were looking for something called the Light of Zathora.
Zartha.
Zartha, there you go. Jay is strongly attracted to Laura and, in violation of MIB rules, does not neuralize her to erase her memories. So,
oh boy.
I feel like this is very much like Blade 2. Like they didn't, with Blade 2, they bring back Blade's mentor guy very quickly in the movie.
Whistler.
Yeah, Whistler, yeah. They bring him back very quickly because, again, I think they thought, shit, this made a load of money. We've got to bring back Blade, but actually we need to bring back Whistler. So this is very much like that. We're like, yep, we need to bring back Men in Black. We need to bring back Jay and Kay.
Yeah.
However, we did neuralize Kay, so we'll have to spend the first 15 minutes undoing that.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I would say they did it well. So anyway, this. So do you think this one's still good money? Like, do you feel like it sort of carried on well as a sequel?
I mean, compared to the first one, this one felt like such a letdown. Honestly, I think I want to say, I haven't watched 3 in a while, but I want to say that this one is probably the worst in the entire franchise.
I can't say yet.
So I think like it carried on the story well, like the plot points that they pick up on and the story that they're trying to tell in this one, it all very much fits within the world that they built in the first film. However, I don't think very much else works in this film. Like the humor seems way more forced than it did in the first one. There's like I think it was just like Laura Flynn Boyle's heyday because she was big on TV at the time. And so it was like, I don't know why you would have cast her as the villain other than the fact that she was just already popular on TV. So it's just like a lot of this felt so disjointed to me. Johnny Knoxville, I think, again, he was very popular with Jackass, so I can see why they would have picked him to be in this film. And his character, for the type of character it was, like he was a perfect casting for a role like that. But I don't know, this one was much harder to enjoy. Like it didn't have the same kind of like, oh my God, this is all really cool kind of feel that the first film did.
I think I remember at the time really loving this film and enjoying it when it came out. I was really pleased that there was a sequel because I loved the first one so much. So I did lap this up. I remember really enjoying it. I still remember at the time hating the scene with Kay. Like, sorry, not Kay, with Zed. I thought that was
him fighting Zerlina.
Yeah, that was so stupid. Like, I love the fact that they did go and undo Kay, and they didn't just. What I thought was actually really good was throughout this movie, though, they didn't just bring him back and then kind of draw a line under it. They made the bringing him back an entire plot line throughout the whole film.
Yeah,
which I think was done really well. I don't know, like, if that was part of the plan thing following the first one. I thought it was good that they didn't just sort of, like sometimes they wipe these things under the carpet pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like
they like get you back to your old self and then pretend like whatever happened never happened.
Yeah. Like I love the fact that that was a plot point throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Rosie Dawson's character and Jay kind of do have a romantic attachment, and Kay kind of steps in as this like fatherly figure for both of them. So,
but is Kay the father?
I don't know. Like, that's not something I'd ever thought before.
It was not something I thought back then, but it was definitely something I thought this time around watching it.
I don't know, but I definitely felt like he took on this fatherly sort of bond with Jay and with Laura. So I don't know. I personally enjoyed the film back then, and I didn't hate this film. I felt like it was done very quickly though. Like it felt like it was because it was just like done over like a day. It was done like very
like the
whole. I kind of don't like it when movies are just like over a day or a few hours. I don't know.
Well, they were on a tight time schedule because the what are they called? The Archelians. The Archelians were like, you got one galactic week, which is an hour. You have an hour to figure your shit out, or we're gonna destroy the Earth.
No, I know they were given in the film. I mean, I know that they were given that real short window, but I kind of like when I think what it is because with movies that I enjoy, especially franchise movies like this, where you get to pick up the characters for that brief moment. Like the Lethal Weapon franchise, like you've got 4 of those films, and I feel like when you go and pick up a franchise film like this, and these characters you love, and I do love Jade, I do love Kay, and then picking these characters up, and you've only got them for this movie before a potential next one comes out in 4 years' time. I feel like when you've got a movie that's set over sort of a couple of weeks, you have different scenes, you get to kind of enjoy some more character development. But what I realise about these films is there's very little in the way of character development. These are just fun action films. And I think kind of my brain that wants character development needs to switch itself off for these type of films. And,
yes, most definitely.
And you're not going to get that. So this essentially this is a comedy, fun action film.
Yeah, I mean it follows the buddy cop formula that works really well. Like Lethal Weapon is essentially a buddy cop film. So Men in Black is not too different from that.
Yeah. Okay, so did you have a favorite character?
Favorite character this time around? Honestly, I liked Kay again. I think if I had to pick a second favorite character, it would be the Worms. The 4 of them. Like I don't know their name. I know they have names, but I just don't know their names. But the Worms would be my second favorite characters.
Laura was definitely like my favorite. I think Rosario Dawson is brilliant in everything she's in. But I loved sort of how courageous but also cute she was at the same time. Like I loved her playing Twister with the worms.
Yeah.
But I also love like how she convinces Will Smith's character to not neuralize her, but how she empathizes with him, saying that must be very lonely.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing, like how you can never have any connections. And because of that line where she recognizes she's about to be neuralized, and I don't think it was intentional to manipulate him. She was just empathizing with him for a split second before she realized she was about to never know, because she said like, well, we'll never know each other again, and that must be very lonely. And then he's like, puts it away. So I love that how she builds that bond with him quite quickly. So I think Rosario Dawson is a great actress anyway. Like I've always been a fan of
I love Rosario Dawson.
But like her character Laura, I think is brilliant. And that moment at the end where obviously nothing happens between Will Smith and that character in the film, but they obviously like each other. And when she has to save the world, she sort of turns and looks at him and is like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so true. Even if you took away all the sci-fi stuff, sometimes you do in life meet someone and it's just not going to happen.
Because timing is just off.
Yeah, like the timing is just off, and like there's so many times where I don't know, like you meet someone and it doesn't happen, and I don't know, like so many people can relate to that. So I thought it was just a really good line. Like when I saw that a couple of days ago, I was like, oh, that's just so true. So many situations like timing is so off, and she has a bigger thing to do. She has to save the world.
Got to save the world, save the Earth,
save the world, save the cheerleader.
Yeah.
Different franchise. Anyway, throughout this movie, did you have any sort of favorite scenes or any sort of I think the script is pretty much a copy and paste of the last one. I think like two scenes stand out. So when Jay goes to the post office to collect Kay, and everybody else that works at the post office is an alien. That was a really cool reveal. And he was just kind of like, most of the postal workers in the US are aliens. And it's like, when he said that, I was like, that makes perfect sense. So I really enjoyed that reveal. And then when Will Smith starts doing that, I can't do it. That
the beatboxing, with Biz Marquee,
and then suddenly that guy like just turns around and starts doing it as well.
Yeah,
and then one by one you just see them that reveal, and then they open the
sorter,
and underneath it's a guy with like 8 arms.
Yeah,
who's smoking a cigarette, but like how cool Kay is that he just takes a cigarette off him. Yeah, no smoking.
Yeah.
But it almost felt like to me before he even got his memory back that he knew.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it felt like to me. So
Yeah. Well, I think like they implied that in the first film, like the way that they kind of addressed deja vu, where it's like, I feel like I know you from somewhere, but like I can't quite put my finger on it. So I think it was definitely one of those kinds of, I feel like there's something missing, but I can't quite put my finger on what is missing from my life. But yeah, I did like the way that they kind of played up on that theme throughout the whole film. And the other scene that I really liked, which is really stupid, it's the scene where they finally go back to MIB headquarters and the worms are too scared to do anything. And so Kay ends up like shooting the robots and like they're in the scene in the elevator. That scene really cracked me up.
I would like to. The thing I would definitely have changed about this movie is I would like to have seen more of Frank. I think Frank should have been in a much bigger role in this movie.
Yeah, the pug.
And you know how they like had the agent T, the guy who played the Tick,
Yes.
Patrick Warburton.
Mm-hmm.
I could have, even though I thought he was good, I could have done without him and just had like Frank the dog be his partner.
Yeah.
Until they brought back Kay. So
Yeah.
the other thing I would like them to have done is address the fact that the morgue lady was not in the film.
Oh yeah. So I looked that up and it turns out the writers were just like, the way that we developed the story, like the role that she would have had would not have been big enough. And I was like, yeah, but then you could have written something different. Like, why did you have to write it this way? I mean, I guess because like this whole thing was sort of like a swan song to bring Kay back. But I don't know. I was really disappointed that she wasn't in this one because like she was so weird in the first film and like she would have been a perfect fit in this kind of environment, I think.
I think they probably just wrote her for the first one thinking it was going to be a one and done.
Yeah, maybe.
And then they probably would have just had her back for one scene in the second one.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what they said. Like if we had her back, it would have been short. And so like that throwaway line where they were like, well, she wanted to go back to the morgue, so I just gave her exactly what she wanted.
Yeah. So anyway, favorite scenes, like I love again Jeeves, his scene.
Oh my god, the one-liner that Tommy says when he's like, or no, when Jay is like, how'd you know his head was gonna grow back? And he's like, oh, it grows back.
I thought that was good too. It's like, how'd you know his head was gonna grow back?
Yeah.
But what I love about Jeeves is how he's like, you know, I've had your back since day one. Then these other guys run in. He's like, they're over there. It's like, yeah, you had their back from day one, mate. Like,
yeah, sure.
His loyalty is paper thin.
Oh, yeah, it's very paper thin with dead presidents on it. Yes, sure.
Yeah. I think favorite scene for me. Well, there's actually so many good scenes. I do think Rosie Dawson's character steals a lot of the favorites for me. I love the Twister scene. I think it's hilarious. I do love the little moments though that they throw in there, like when J and K open the locker and there's this like whole community of tiny aliens in this locker. They're like, all hail K. Oh, no, no.
Yeah.
And then Jay puts his watch in or whatever. They're like, all hail Jay. And I was like, it's crazy to these people that like J and K are like their deity. So and then I love at the end how they put the little creatures in Jay's locker and he's like, man, you can't leave them in there, like, you know, whatever. And then Kay's like, little do you know, and then he opens this locker to this other world or whatever.
Yeah.
Very similar to how they ended the first one.
Yes, with the marbles and galaxies. Yeah.
There's so many good moments in this film, like tiny little moments I think are cool. But yeah, so right, I'd love to know what you would rate this because
I think we're going to be way different on this one. Okay, so back then, I really disliked this film the first time I saw it. So back then, my original rating probably would have been a 3. And now I'd probably give it like a 2.5.
I think probably about then I would have given this a 4. I did really enjoy this about then. I probably would just give it a 3. So a 3. That's it. So
3 and 3 so far.
Yeah, 3 and 3. So
we'll have to see what next week brings.
I'm curious. You know, I'm actually really.
I'm super curious because you've never seen these two.
So number 3, I haven't seen at all, like
Yeah.
completely at all. I have seen about the first 10, 15 minutes of International, and that was it. So so these are going to be a first for me. So next week we are reviewing Men in Black 3 from 2012 and Men in Black International from 2019. I am hoping, like, I'd love it if Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones were in International somehow, like a cameo or something. I'd be really annoyed if there's nothing. Or like even just little things like the Worms or Frank or something. Like, I don't know. Is Zed even in the International? So
I'm not telling you anything.
I just hope that it's not like just like a complete reboot.
Although I feel like you should like International because it's British.
No, I know it's set in the UK. Like, it is mainly set in the UK. I think from memory it started in New York or something. I literally can't remember. I probably, some of these questions I've just asked, I probably know the answer to, but I literally can't remember. I watched like the first 10 minutes and I wasn't that bothered about it, so I turned it off. So I worked through both of them. So next week we're going to be covering off on Men in Black world.
Yep.
And you can follow us on social media. We're Geeks and Hitch everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast: Google, Podbean, Apple, Spotify. We are everywhere. So please leave us a 5-star review and tell your geeky friends.
Thank you very much for listening.
Good journey.